Yeah, well, I've lived in Berlin for 30 years. I came here in the 70s. The music scene was a lot different in the 70s. It was still kind of hanging on by its fingers for the to this kind of hippie sound of like rock music of the 70s, and then it changed with punk rock, and you had like new wave punk rock music coming into Berlin in the late 70s. The music scene at that point was just so different. It was very radical. It was very original. You had groups like Einstürzen and Neubauten who made music from rubbish, from things that they'd found on the street in building sites, and just banged about on it. They took away the confines of normal modern rock music. They just created this sound which was very, very Berlin within the wall. The wall came down, and accompanying this fall of the wall was this sound of music called techno, which I think is the soundtrack to that particular revolution. Techno also was the sound of music which broke all the rules of what was considered as dance music. In July of '89 we had First Love Parade. That was the guideline for things to come, I suppose. Yeah, just the momentum just kind of like drove it. It fueled that revolution. You had a sound which was very, very original. It was electronic, it was fresh, it was dramatic, and it like portrayed the whole idea that suddenly people were free, and that attracted a lot more people. And at the end, you had like 2 million people almost in the city coming for the Love Parade. That transformed the music scene dramatically. The music became more diversified, not just techno music. Berlin is no longer just a techno city. You have people who are now just suddenly starting to go clubbing who are like 20 years old. They're looking towards different kinds of music, and they're listening to more 80s influence music, music which is influenced by the technology of today, which is computer-generated synthesizers, which are all based on 80s synthesizers. So the music starts to get an 80s sound. Or you have this kind of, like the last couple of years, you've had this minimal techno sound, which has also been back to the roots, kind of stripped down, take techno to its original form. Towards the end of the 90s, I was getting a little bit fed up with the sounds, actually. I thought it started to stagnate a little bit, and it wasn't really developing. It's just becoming a repetition of itself. I've been to millions of parties in my life and seen a lot of things. So I wanted to do something else. The music was lacking somehow in some kind of sexuality, and it needed, music is always driven by sexuality, and I decided to create this record label which I call Flesh, because we are all covered in skin. I decided to make this label and make this kind of music for Flesh called Wet and Hard. My main artist, Corvin Dalek, who was always also looking for some different kind of sound. It's wet and hard, it's kind of like, has kind of soft bits, but it's kind of really hard.